All right, so the other day I was at work, ringing up customers or whatever, and I eventually ended up helping this older gentleman who, let's just say, had a very off putting and kind of aggressive vibe at first glance. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I was pretty intimidated by his appearance because he was at least 6'4", and he just looked like someone you won't wanna mess with, okay? Like, to paint a picture for you guys, he kinda looked like DMX if DMX lived past the age of 50, while I'm 5'6" and look like freaking Miguel from Coco. But anyways, the man eventually asks me if I could check to see if he had a credit card on file with us, because at the store I work at, we offer a rewards credit card, and if you want to pay off your bill or whatever, we can look up your account by scanning your driver's license. Makes sense, right? So naturally, I go, yeah, of course I can check for you, sir. Do you have your ID on you? And as soon as I say that, I kid you not, this guy's entire demeanor changed, and he went from looking somewhat normal to, let's just say, looking like he wanted to fucking murder me. And he stared at me dead in the eyes for a good 30 seconds without saying a word, trying to intimidate me. And the entire time I'm thinking to myself, this could turn really bad really fast, because once again, this guy was staring at me like I was prey. But to my surprise, I didn't break eye contact, not even for a second. And I kept my cool the entire time, even though I was now in fight or flight mode. And then when he did eventually speak, he got super angry and started to argue with me. And then he started to question me about why I needed to see his ID. And he eventually started getting kind of loud, so much so that I looked at the other customers in line, as well as my coworkers, and they all looked very uncomfortable, to say the least. But once again, despite all of this, I kept my cool. And I explained to him that I would need his ID to look up his card information, since that's the only way we can, and that if he didn't like that, he can speak to my manager about it. And after I said that, I figured he was gonna lash out at me or something, but after I tell him this, he didn't argue with me anymore. He kind of just stormed off, and he never came back. But once the whole encounter was over, I immediately felt a sense of pride, because I mean, I've dealt with crazy customers before. Like, I've even had one try to attack me in the past, but this one just felt different. The look this guy had in his eyes immediately set off so many alarms in my head, and I was really surprised at the fact that I was able to stay non-reactive throughout the entire thing. But after the adrenaline rush I had faded away, I started to reflect on the importance of remaining calm, cool, and collected in times like these, or as the kids of today like to call it, being nonchalant. And I started to reminisce on all the times staying nonchalant could have potentially helped me in the past. Like when I got bullied as a kid, or whenever toxic coworkers tried to start shit with me at previous jobs, or even when it came to things like love and relationships. But I began to wonder if staying nonchalant was actually the solution, or if it was just me being delusional. And after some light pondering, I eventually came to the conclusion that, yeah, being stoic would have saved me from a lot of bullshit. Like, a lot, okay? Because despite the fact that I make satirical and sometimes borderline insensitive videos on the internet, I'd actually say I'm a very deeply sensitive person. And no, I don't mean in a corny, oh, I'm an empath kind of way. But what I mean by that is, I've always been someone who's very expressive about how they feel on the inside. And I mean, as I've gotten older, it's died down quite a bit, but overall, I can confidently say that for most of my life, I've always been someone who cares very deeply about others and the world around me. And I've always tried my best to put as much good out into the world as I can without expecting anything in return. Except, unfortunately for me, over time I've realized that the world does not take kindly to people like this for some fucking reason. And I've had my fair share of times where I've been knocked down and even berated because of it. But looking back, I now realize that my biggest issue wasn't the fact that I was quote unquote too nice or whatever. It was the fact that I showed too much emotion outwardly. Like if someone made fun of me in school, I'd get super upset and people viewed me as an easy target from there on out. If I was really sad about something, you'd be able to tell from a mile away. If I really liked someone, it always came across as me being too strong or even creepy. But had I showed a little bit of restraint back then, it probably would have gone much differently. If someone made fun of me in class, I should have just laughed it off and clapped back with something clever. If I was really sad about something, I should have just faked it for the time being and moved on. If I really liked someone, I should have just acted fucking normal. The bottom line is, being nonchalant is the cleanest way to protect yourself. And the sooner you realize that, the easier your life will be. But no, this is not me saying that we should just suppress all of our feelings and act as if everything is fine all the time, okay? That's unrealistic. And it's definitely not a healthy way to live. But I don't think I'm wrong when I say that acting as if you don't care in times of stress, or just in general, is a fucking superpower. Because I've learned that when people realize that they can't touch you mentally, they respect you more. and you become less of a target for people who want to take advantage of you or even harm you. And believe it or not, you become someone that others feel they can rely on when the going gets rough. But despite all the positive aspects of being nonchalant, there are a lot of negative aspects that come along with it as well. For example, if you become a little too nonchalant, it can end up being a little off-putting for some, and others around you might even view you as cold or heartless, perhaps even boring or uninteresting, which can make it hard to connect with others sometimes. And if you're too nonchalant in your relationships, whether it be, romantic or not, your loved ones may feel as if you don't care about them as much as you should. Not only that, but keeping everything bottled up inside you all the time can only last for so long. And refusing to express these feelings and emotions naturally can result in them being expressed in many unhealthy ways later on. You might lash out on the ones who care about you the most. You might isolate yourself from the world around you. And you might even turn to things like substances or self-harm. And this shouldn't be the case. It's okay to want to be strong for those around you. And it's okay to want to protect yourself from all the evil of the world, but it's not okay to cut off your feelings entirely, because at the end of the day, you can't, and it's all got to come out sooner or later, so you might as well just let it. Just don't be cringe about it. Kidding, but what I'm trying to say is you're allowed to be the strong pillar for your loved ones, and you're allowed to pick and choose who gets to see you in a vulnerable state, but you're also allowed to talk about your feelings when you truly need to, and it's okay to shed a couple man tears or even woman tears here and there, because after all, you're only human, and no amount of being nonchalant or acting like you don't care will change that. I just realized this video wasn't very nonchalant of me to make, though. I probably shared a lot more than I should have.